I think Ethan ended up responding, actually. Hang on, I'll see if I can find it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new Slop Meal video. I hope you're having a great day, and today we're back with Slopception. Now, this all revolves around Pyrocynical. Now, this has nothing to do with Parlo, this has nothing to do with any of the other controversy going around with Pyrocynical. This has everything to do, though, with one of his most recent Slop videos on H3H3. Now, when it comes to Pyrocynical's Slop content on his Slop Live channel, I've never really taken large issue. The only video I think I've ever actually taken a full-on issue with is his Nugs Taku video, as I felt like there was a lot missing and it almost felt like he was sweeping for Nugs Taku, which was something I pointed out in his stream chat.
You missed a lot on your Nux video. Yeah, I didn't even know about the Rule 34 stuff. I only knew about the self-insert titles that people were clowning on. I didn't even know how deep the rabbit hole was. What do you mean by sweeping? What does that mean? If you didn't know about the stuff with Nux, that's fair. Yeah, I didn't know. You don't need to come onto the stream and be snide, bro.
Which, to this day, I don't think I was being snide. I was genuinely just asking a question and critiquing and saying, look, if that is genuinely the case, then that is fair enough. That's not being snide, that's just being honest, which, again, I did apologize for, just in case it did come across as snide.
So I got no beef with you. I've seen you on Twitter a little bit, but that's it. No, I didn't know. I didn't know, and that pisses me off a little bit. I just thought he was using Jaden in a thumbnail and saying we, and then people made extensions, and I was like, you know, because I literally covered it as like kind of a light-hearted story, and then it's just like it's a whole rabbit hole. I had no idea.
And at the time, this very much highlighted what Slop content was. I felt like lots of the times, the content creators that were doing that content, and the ones that were incredibly popular, like More Pegasus, like Ludwig, were missing key details, were getting things inherently wrong, and that's why I wanted to do Slop Meal at the time. Pyrocynical isn't a huge offender of this, but I think that clip kind of summarized it.
There was something like with like a VTuber as well. I don't know. There's, yeah, it's like you try and do one story that's like kind of funny, haha, and of course there's like more and more layers to it. Didn't mean to be snide. Appreciate your response. Yeah, no worries. Hope you have a good day, man. It's easy for stuff to get twisted online, but yeah, no, I appreciate you clearing that up. I genuinely didn't know, which really annoys me because I got a video out there which is like making it seeming like nothing happened, which is annoying.
I'm going to say before we move on, I do respect Pyrocynical's response there. I think it's very clear that he's visibly annoyed, the fact that he missed something in a story and put out a video that was kind of half completed because it missed quite a bit, so I do respect him there. That brings us on to the most recent situation revolving his Pyro Live YouTube channel, and that is of course to do with the most recent H3H3 lawsuits, and he decided to cover it on his channel. Now, the first bit of this controversy comes from the comments and the backlash over the content of the video, which was a lot of people genuinely thought that Pyrocynical was just fence-sitting, and lots of people were even comparing him to Ludwig, for example. The fact Pyro chooses to cover this stuff but just sit on the fence because he is scared of losing viewership and simply intentionally ignores half the context provided is the insane situation. The fence-sitting situation is getting more crazy. Pyro meet Canyon or Ludwig in a spineless fence-sitting competition over this drama. Oh boy, fence-sitting, I guess somebody needs to take Ludwig's mantle after he blew up his own career. Now when it comes to fence-sitting, of course, it's very much a case-by-case basis because there will be situations where you don't necessarily want to come out with a take because that would be incredibly reckless of you. For example, when you're waiting for another side of the story, you're not going to immediately take the other side because that would be stupid of you to do so. There are situations like that where fence-sitting is kind of required, but in a situation like this, if you do decide to fence it, it kind of shows your weakness in the coverage. It also kind of suggests as well that you don't want to lose a percentage of the audience, you don't want to annoy any people that might possibly be watching, so you're going to decide to fence it instead of just saying what you genuinely believe, even if that's going against Ethan Klein or going for him. I also wouldn't necessarily say that Pyrocynical is like at the egregious level of Ludwig fence-sitting, because the issue with Ludwig as well is not only would he fence it, but as well quite often he would get things wrong. And of course I've just said that and it's going to be really ironic in a second because we are about to cover the other side of the controversy where Pyrocynical did get something wrong. And this is all over Ethan Klein's joke of saying that he had no idea ShawnDaBlack was actually black.
And the lawsuit against Shawn will be moving forward. He says that if he thought he had a good enough case to win against Shawn, that his lawyers would have pursued it from the beginning. Although apparently he was actually really close to making the cut. Ethan also taxed his comments about not knowing that Shawn was black. You know, it's not like it's in his name.
Look, I don't want to be that guy, but I think that might have been an aspect of Ethan Klein's joke. The fact ShawnDaBlack is black, and it says in his name that he's black.
Or anything like that. He says this because when he announced the lawsuit against Shawn, a lot of people just basically accused him of being racist. That being for suing a black guy after getting accused of misogyny for, you know, suing 3 women. Now, I'll be honest, as a white person, I can definitely speak on this topic, but I don't really think what Ethan was doing there was racist.
I don't really think isn't really a definitive statement that's kind of skirting around. This is inherently not racist. You can make a joke about ShawnDaBlack. Suing ShawnDaBlack wouldn't be racist. Not suing ShawnDaBlack isn't racist. Nothing here to do with Ethan Klein involving these lawsuits has anything to do with race or, you know, him being misogynistic towards loads of women. The people that are going around calling Ethan Klein misogynistic and racist are incredibly desperate to critique Ethan Klein and aren't just critiquing the things that are there and just pulling keywords out of their asses like misogynistic and racist to paint him in an even worse light.
What he has done though, which is really stupid, he's basically admitted to not really knowing who Shawn was. He didn't like do a Google search of the guy to see his face.
It's very obvious that Ethan Klein was being sarcastic here and making a joke. Even if you don't understand sarcasm, it's written in a way where it's also just clearly a joke. There's no way you can misinterpret this, and especially because we've seen Ethan Klein talk about ShawnDaBlack before and actively react to ShawnDaBlack in things like the iDubbbz content cop on H3, something Pyrocynical is about to mention, so this point makes absolutely no sense.
Probably hasn't watched any of his content beforehand. There's been no background check. He's basically admitted, yeah, this guy saw my videos. I'm gonna sue him now.
To be honest, I completely disagree with Pyrocynical here, and I genuinely think this is a harmful and disingenuous joke to be forming a narrative around Ethan Klein in reference to people like ShawnDaBlack and this whole lawsuit. Especially because this isn't based in anything. This is based off a satirical joke that Pyrocynical completely missed and has decided to base his opinion and jokes on. It's not like Ethan Klein has no idea who ShawnDaBlack is, has decided to just randomly choose this guy for no reason because he's fairly reacted to one of Ethan Klein's videos. That's not the controversy whatsoever, so I do feel like this joke is a bit disingenuous as it's based off of something that didn't even happen. Especially because this joke isn't just a joke, it's more of a point wrapped in a joke.
Oh. And Ethan definitely has seen Shawn before because he was actually in the, you know, the wake up segment of iDubbbz content cop. You know that intro where they had like all the Hassan people jumping around doing funny dances and stuff?
Ethan. Then I mean, what Pyrocynical just said makes absolutely no sense because of course Ethan Klein would have known who ShawnDaBlack is because he's actively reacted to ShawnDaBlack in the past in this content cop and spoken about ShawnDaBlack on previous streams.
Wake up.
And we know that he saw that because he did actually live stream his reaction to that.
So Pyro, if that's the case, that Ethan Klein has seen ShawnDaBlack even just in the content cop and has actively reacted to that, even spoke on ShawnDaBlack in that said content cop reaction, then maybe Ethan Klein might know that ShawnDaBlack is in fact black. The thing is with this ShawnDaBlack stuff in this Pyrocynical video is the fact that this segment talking about this very, very obvious joke just doesn't stop. It's a pretty long segment to be talking about this joke and to be getting it wrong. Ethan Klein did in fact pick up on this and actually call Pyrocynical out on his Instagram. Fact that I need to explain to half the internet that I was kidding when I said I didn't know ShawnDaBlack was black is honestly disturbing. And second of all, my dude, fire your barber unless you ask to look like Hillary Clinton. This was the beginning of Pyrocynical's most recent stream. Pyrocynical actually ended up reacting to this and speaking on this briefly.
Ethan actually ended up I think Ethan ended up responding actually. Hang on, I'll see if I can find it. Oh. Yeah, so apparently, for context here, I mean, no one really cares. I did a video talking about the H3 lawsuit and the update. You know, how, like, Frogan, Denims, Casey Tron were all talking about their response and stuff like that. About how they're all being sued, they're all doing GoFundMes. And then we got one bit of info in the slop wrong.
When it comes to making videos like this, of course you are going to make mistakes here or there, but I do think it is a worthy point to critique and a worthy point to bring up when something like that does happen, even if it is just one little point.
But yeah, so he said the fact I need to explain to half the internet I was kidding when I said I didn't know ShawnDaBlack was black is honestly disturbing. So apparently he made a joke. It was like ShawnDaBlack. He was like political commentary guy. Like the joke is he's black.
Explanation, and apparently he did make a joke indeed. Pyrocynical.
And yeah, I basically made this bit in the video being like, Ethan had no idea. It shows how out of touch he is. And then he's obviously pointed this out and then said, and second of all, dude, fire your barber Unless you ask to look like Hillary Clinton.
I mean, one of the huge reasons people are critiquing this, calling this out, and making fun of Pyrocynical for this is he based an opinion off of this joke that he completely missed. Pyrocynical said a little bit more about this, but it obviously isn't relevant to the bit we're covering, otherwise I would be putting it in the video, and trust me, I like to pad out my content sometimes, but that is the controversy to do with Pyrocynical's Ethan Klein video, to do with the lawsuits and the reaction from people like Denims, Frogan, ShawnDaBlack, and Casey Drum. But everybody watching, what was your thoughts on this? I would really be interested to see what you have to say. If you genuinely have watched this video, please feel free to comment down below, and whilst you're down there, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a future upload. But I've been your host Samuel, and I'll catch you in the next Slop Meal video. Goodbye.